Hello students, today we are going to study court reporting. Last class we studied crime reporting and now I am starting the next type of reporting, that is court reporting. So what is this court reporting? Actually a court is a hall of justice and every trial is regarded as a test of democracy at work. And the press covers it regularly, and the court reporter has to be as impartial as a judge. He has to report all court proceedings fairly and faithfully, and the court provides the opportunities for writing stories of human interest and descriptive writing. And the next important question that we must think about is why newspapers report court cases. So what is the necessity and what is the interest that readers have in reading court cases, and why newspapers report court cases? Newspapers routinely report what happens in court as part of making sure justice happens fairly. And it is important that the public is told about what happens so they can see justice in action, and which is commonly known as open justice. It is even the big newspapers of India, they do not have the resources to cover all the courts of their main circulation area. The reason is there are too many courts. We know that. So that is the reason that they could not cover all courts. And the newspapers, neither they have the time nor the space to cover everything that happens in the courts. And the paper covers only those stories in which their readers are interested. And the emphasis of news media is on only criminal courts or high courts and only on the Supreme Court. And the media are less interested in covering civil courts. The reason is maybe that the civil courts are jammed with cases. So members of the public would lose whatever interest they may have showed initially. So they never cover civil courts. And in all the courts, judgment copies are made available to the press person who make thorough summaries. As regards the High Court, a cause list shows the important cases and judgments to be delivered. So reporters go through this list carefully. And even some newspapers, they subscribe to this cause list. Sometimes pressmen cover daily proceedings of important cases. And even in some courts, special seats for the press are provided so that they can hear the court proceedings. And the journalists, they often go to court to report on the cases being heard. And when they are there, a reporter will take notes or record the trial. And journalists use these notes later to make sure that their reports are accurate. And a newspaper can use these notes as evidence that they took care of to make sure that their article was accurate. The next point is, even if there is only one reporter in court, a story about the case may appear in many different newspapers, including national newspapers. This is because the reporter might work for an agency and he may provide the story to several newspapers. And second question regarding to this court reporting is, what newspapers can publish on court cases? So what are the things that they are permitted or they can publish on court cases? Generally, newspapers are allowed to publish. Let us see what are they. I have listed here. First is anything that has been said in court or used as evidence, which includes testimony given by either a witness or a defendant. So that can be used, that is permitted to publish in newspaper. And next is the name of the person involved in the crime, his age, or even address of the person that person involved in the crime can be published, which they get from the court. And next is photos of anyone involved in a court case, including photos taken by a photographer or photos from social media. So that also they can publish. And the next question that comes to our mind is, what newspapers cannot publish on court cases? So previous slide we have studied what they can publish. So they can publish anything that is said in court, and next is the name, age, address, and next is even the picture they can publish. They are permitted to publish in newspapers. Next, third important question is, what are the things that they are not supposed to publish? Generally, unless editors can prove there is a public interest in publishing, newspapers are not allowed to print. So they have to get editors' approval before publishing a court news story in a newspaper. This is important. And I have listed a few points here. The first one is information which might identify a victim of sexual assault. So that has to be checked, and they are not supposed to mention or publish the name of the victim. The next is, second point is, information which identifies a friend or relative of a criminal who is not at all relevant to the court case. So such informations they need not publish in newspapers. All these are actually irrelevant to the case. And the next point is information which is protected by reporting restrictions or might be in contempt of court. So such information have to be very careful in publishing, because one must be careful to avoid any contempt of court charges. Willful disregard for judicial authority and court by means of unfair comments or distorted publications may even attract a contempt of court charge. So they must be careful. And if we go through the old files of a newspaper, we will find that the volume of court reporting has increased in recent years. So one of the reasons for the increase, maybe the courts are now getting more active in the field of social justice, and public interest, litigations are also increasing, which we all know. And the next topic is guidelines for writing court report. So let us see the guidelines. The first guideline is translate legal phrases into language that an ordinary reader can understand. So they have to translate the jargon that is used in court language so that an ordinary reader can understand. Next is avoid comments on proceedings. So the reporter should not comment on court proceedings. He has to reserve his comments. And take care to omit what the judge orders not to publish. Sometimes judge will say that this should not be published or revealed to the public, and such things cannot be published in newspaper. So take care to omit what the judge orders not to publish. And next, fourth point is describe court scenes whenever necessary. So it might interest public. So you can describe the scenes of the court whenever necessary. And next important point is follow the inverted pyramid style of reporting. So inverted pyramid style we have already studied. I believe you know. It starts with conclusion. So start with the basic facts and start narrating the story in the following paragraphs. The last point is ensure accuracy. It is very important. They have to check the name, age, and even address of the culprit before publishing in newspapers. So ensure accuracy. And court reports must understand the judicial court reporters, they must understand the judicial process from beginning to end. And the court reporters, they must know what happens when a suspect is arrested, charged, tried and sentenced or released. So he or she, the reporter, must have a basic knowledge regarding the court proceedings. And experienced reporters say the best way to learn the process is to spend time at the courthouse. As stated before, begin with the court clerks who keep track, the list of cases. So you can approach the clerks. So start with the clerk, and you can befriend an barrister, and you can get details from him. And find out how to get copies of the court record or filings and testimony. And you can read the case files, including motions and pleadings, before the trial, and keep track of what's reported about the case. If you can't be in the court every day, so which certain cases which frequently happens, so these things they have to keep in mind. Court reporters should keep in mind before writing a report on court cases. So I believe you had a good understanding on this court reporting. Let us revise what we studied today. So court reporting. So what is court reporting? A court is a hall of justice, and every trial is regarded as a test of democracy at work. The next question, I have started with the question, why newspapers report court cases, and I have given a detailed explanation here. The next is, what newspapers can publish on court cases. And the next third question is, what newspapers cannot publish on court cases. And I have listed a few guidelines for writing court report here. And remaining, we'll see next class. Thank you.